Okay, well, today is June 7th. It's about 7:30 p.m. And the sun is still out. So I was just in Wilmette, and the video got cut off like in a place that I was not too happy with. So I just figured I'd do a video here. This is it's called Sanders Court. It's basically a strip mall, maybe like a little bit more than you would expect, possibly a little bit more. This is the Goodwill, and they have a few different things. Basically, still we're doing skill space, finding them, and I think remember over and over and over and over again, we will be looking at that theme that of how minimal spaces there are, but we'll make do with what we have. Another thing is we haven't looked. Wilmette was an example of like a downtown area. We haven't done a strip mall yet. Here's a no bicycling sign. You'll also find no rollerblades, no skateboarding is often pretty common. So those are just things to kind of keep in mind. And in some ways, like we're sort of working towards towards a world where it says no skill, no juggling, no skill. That I don't think that would be bad, because that would mean that we've sort of built it up to the points where it needs to be say you can't do it. But yeah, so this is this gym. I haven't heard of this brand before. It's called Vasa, and this used to be a Jewel, if I remember, or a Dominic's, which then was bought by Jewel years ago, and it sat vacant for I don't know how many years, and then they redeveloped it into this. I've never been in there, but it looks like, there's constantly people coming in and out, so they've definitely been, I think, successful as far as like getting a good amount of people, getting membership or having people participate in their gym. So yeah, one thing about these types of places, like these strip malls and stuff, is that right off the bat, like as an understanding, is that like what they're about, like it basically is private property. The whole thing is private property. So in a way that even I think is maybe different from a mall, but I think malls are basically private property too. I think there might be some differences. We can look at them at some point. I'm not exactly. Right now, I don't have any specifics other than that a mall, they both might have easements like this. The strip mall versus the mall. I think what would be the differences? In my experience, my limited experience with these things, is that the mall itself, that has its own sort of like covered. Usually the difference between a strip mall and a mall is that the mall has some sort of interior that's covered. I think that to me is like one of the defining things. So I've also noticed that in like it seems like a mall might be easier to contact the people who run the mall. They usually have signs that say like, you are entering this mall. This is this mall. These are the rules for the mall. Contact us if you need any questions about the mall, or have questions about the mall. So malls are sort of like easier to get a hold of. So if you have your skill group, and usually it really takes like three consistent skill people, or like juggling people, that community. Once you have like three people who are like regular dependable people, and then you can start working on like kind of growing from there. But if you have like three people and you're trying to like get your act together, if you want to say it that way, Here's a Culver's. This is kind of, I've been calling this sort of like the Duplo era, like where, it looks like a Duplo Legos, not even regular Legos. And then these, and the stone. I mean, there's all these things that sort of, they're telling you things. The architecture, it's all intentional. It's all referencing some other buildings that were, part of a trend. I mean, look at this. This is a different type of building. I don't see any, some of these look like they're unrented or unutilized. These wood fences on the top of the roofs, very weird. But yeah, I mean, and this architecture is no longer like acceptable. It's no longer functional. And here's I've noticed this in the last couple of years actually. And here's a nice. This is a solar panel, which is capturing. This is going to the east, and this is going to the west. And this, as you know, the sun rises in the east, so it's going to capture the energy from the morning, and then actually towards, I don't know, about 4 or 5, it's going to capture a lot less because it's not going to get direct sunlight. But it's going to, I think the purpose of it is to light up this sign for Northbrook. And that's what I was saying, is that this is the trend in the last couple, 2 or 3 years I've noticed, at least this is considered the North Shore of Chicago, is that the suburbs have been branding themselves and identifying their their territory, their boundaries more than they used to, and with updated signs. And I've just noticed that more. I don't know what it's like in your area,